A student at a North Las Vegas middle school was arrested after bringing a gun to campus on Wednesday. That arrest happened at Swainston Middle School near Simmons and Alexander. CCSD says staff confiscated the gun. There were no threats to the school. And this afternoon, Fox 5 is tracking where we stand in arrests as we near the halfway point of the semester. CCSD reports 14 handguns have been recovered through September. All of those incidents happening in August, with one last month. 8 of those recoveries were from adults, 6 from juveniles, and not one not being a student. 6 of those incidents happened off campus. CCSD reminds families to use Safe Voice to report any concerns on their school's campus.